Hi y'all, it's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my best or my top books of 2021. And when I went to screenshot all the ones that I considered, and I thought I did good when I was screenshotting now, because there was still a lot that I wanted to include, but I didn't. It was like almost 100 still, so I had to narrow it down, and then I only got it to 70. And so I've got it at 44, and I can't cut anymore because the ones I have on here, there are so many that I cut that I feel the same about as far as how great they are, but I couldn't include them because I was trying to get the number down so low. So because I just love all the books I read so much, this was just really hard, and I don't know if I'll ever do this again because I feel so bad cutting the ones I cut from it. So just look at my Goodreads for what I read in 2021 to get all the great books I read. So but I just feel bad because there was so many that I felt just as the way I feel about the ones that are in here. So editing bell here. I decided, so forget the 30-some, 40-some, whatever number I said. I decided, and you'll see later in the video when I decide, to do a separate video of my top 14. So this will be, you'll know from the title of this video, I think it's some of my favorite, 34 of my favorite middle grades from 2021. So if you're confused by the title and then hearing what I'm saying just now, just know that. Okay, now back to the video. And if it's a series or a duology, I'm just going to count it as one. And I'm not going to read synopsis because it's already going to be, it would make this video even longer. So Elena Ransom series by J.S. Wood. Book is Elena Ransom and the Firebird Unit. Elena Ransom and the Catalan Atlas. Elena Ransom and the Unexpected Disclosure. Elena Ransom and the Lost Son. And each book gets better and better, and the series is just so great, and it's definitely upper middle grade. It's dark, so much adventure, I compare it to how I felt about Harry Potter, how everything in each book, how it all accumulates and wraps together and just connects, and you're like, oh. And we're only on the 4th book. Like, it's gonna be a 6-book series, and I need that 5th book, especially after the way the 4th book ended. Or each prologue starts with clues about another person in here and to help you learn more about them, and it's another clue, a hint about something. So it's just so great. I just love this whole series. Then we have the Ghost Hunter series by Susan McCauley. Bones in the Wall, Pirate's Curse, and Spirit Fire. And these also get better and better. I read the whole trilogy this year too, and oh, it's so good. And these kids have such a great dynamic and relationship, and they're each so important to their little team. Even the cousin, the girl that doesn't have the sight, her talents and what she brings to the group are just so essential, and I love that. And there's a new adventure in each book and mystery to solve, and you get to learn more about this world and all the symbols that they use for the ghosts, and what the different levels of ghosts and the different levels of people who can see the ghosts, and the new mysteries that were in the 3rd book about someone doing something. I can't wait for the next book. I'm so happy there will be more, and they're just spooky, creepy, atmospheric, but not too scary, a little dark at times, but just great dynamic between these kids. I love them. So obviously I love them, but and then a sequel I read, because I think I read the first one in 2020, but this is Feast of the Evernight by Mackenzie. And I love his books. And these two, this duology especially, it's dark, definitely upper middle grade. There's witches, there's evil, there's just so much going on. And he just created such a intriguing world and a fascinating plot, so fast-paced, so gripping. I don't know if there will be more or if it's just going to stay a duology, but I hope so, because I just love these characters in this world so much. Just such a dark, magical story, so imaginative. The world building is next. It's just so good. I just love it. Oh, I love it. So hope there's more. I can't remember if I read the 3rd book in 2021 or not, but the 4th book I did. Felicity, Bloom, and the Golden Arrow. This is from Through the Fairy Door series by Estelle, Tudor, and I still have the 5th book that I need to read. It's the final book, but I love this whole series. It's just very magical, heartwarming, so charming. They're like a warm hug, I've said. I love this world, this fairy world, fairyland, and I can just see myself playing pretend if I had had these when I was younger. I just think kids would really love this. I love it. So it's just such a great series, and this book was phenomenal. I loved Felicity's story. I was so excited about getting to Felicity and seeing how her story would unfold, and I absolutely loved it. And then Ben Archer and the Cosmic Fall. This is the Alien Skills series by Rae Knightly. And I read the second book, and I have the third book I still need to read, and there's many more in the series. It's on my list of, it's on my shelf in my bedroom because of the series that I'm continuing slowly but surely. But it's just such a great book, and it made me realize that I could like alien books. They're not all about little green men. I was worried about that. So phenomenal. This could so be a movie or TV series. So much danger, dark, upper middle grade for sure. Love that little dog. And then the alien man in here, Mesmo. Loved him too. All the characters are so good. It's just such great writing, so gripping. Loved it. Another sequel I read, the second in the Fright Watch series. This is The Collectors by Lorien Lawrence. I know I'm not saying her first name right. And I'm just loving this series. It's just so, I just love it so much. It's so amazing. Quinn and Mike are such an adorable duo, and they are just the best team together. I love them, and I can't wait to see what they do next. They have a whole new mystery on Goody Lane, and it's just so incredible. I love the different take this time. I just loved it. It's just so much adventure, a lot of danger. The plot kept you guessing, and it's just so good. I just am so loving this, and I can't wait for more. I just love these two so much, and it's just such a spooky middle grade that I love, with mystery, danger, adventure, great friendship in here, and I just love it. Can't wait for more. I read The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, and I think I like this one maybe a little more than A Little Princess, and I have many editions, if it's any indication. This is the edition I read though. And I love this. I love it so much. It is a product of its time, so there are some things that are not okay in the beginning. So just know that going into it. But it didn't age well as far as that stuff goes, but it's in the beginning. But the rest of it, it's just such a magical, heartwarming story, and the growth of Mary is just, it's just so good. There's reasons why she's so angry and mean as she is in the beginning, and just seeing her understand that there's a different way to be when she gets a little bit of attention and care, it's just beautiful. It's just such a beautiful story, and I just loved it. It's so good. Then Hollow Chest by Brita Sandstrom. This is just a book full of hope, terror, and longing. It's such a different take on time of war. It's set during war, and there is like it has a fantasy element to it with these wolves, these war wolves, and how they eat the heart of the broken, and what one boy does to get his brother's heart back who fought in the war, and he comes back so different. And there's so much on this family's shoulders, especially the young boy, and it's so heartbreaking what he does and goes through trying to help his brother, even before his brother gets back, what he does to help his family and his mom and his grandpa. And it's just, and just the power of love, how we can hang on by the smallest thread just from love. We won't let go. We just hang on with all we have, with just that love, and we won't give up. The writing is beautiful, like it says on the back, and Ursu, who wrote the breadcrumbs. Hollow Chest is remarkable on so many levels. Its exquisite writing, its startling originality, its deep empathy, but what lingers most is its unwavering heartbeat. In the darkest of times, what will carry us through is love. I agree with all of that. That made me teary just thinking about it. It's such a beautiful book. And while there might be a fantasy element with the werewolves and all that stuff, but it could be symbolic. It's symbolic for so many things, and it's just perfect. And it's original, imaginative, beautiful, heart-wrenching, but heartwarming a little at the same time. It gives you hope, and So beautiful. And it takes a lot for a contemporary to get on this list, but this one definitely did. 10,000 Tries by Amy Mackenzie. And the scene, the part in the book that this illustration is from, is probably my favorite scene in the book, and I still think about it, and it's so beautiful. And the quote on the back is from that part in the book too. "Did you actually ride a bike?" Mom asked. "No," he says, triumphant, water splashing out of his mouth. "I was flying." I get emotional. And no matter how mad Mom is, I'm suddenly triumphant too, that I can make him feel that way. Like we can really do anything together, even if it takes 10,000 tries. So our character Golden in here, his dad has ALS, and from what I remember and understand, there is no cure. You just progressively get worse, and pretty fast. And it's really tough for him because his dad is like a soccer star. He's the coach. He can do anything. He's like 10,000 tries. You can accomplish anything. Just try 10,000 times. And Golden puts that in every part of his life. And he thinks if he does that with his dad, he can help his dad get better and beat this. And and then his best friend who lives next door is moving away. So there's all of this going on. And he's trying to be the captain of his soccer team and be the best he can possibly be, like his soccer hero and like his dad. And so he has all of this on him. And he won't let his dad give up, and even pushes his dad a little hard when he probably shouldn't. It's just so heartbreakingly beautiful. It did make me sad, but not in a way that I couldn't take it. It's just such a beautiful book and story. So I just loved it. So I can't talk about this book anymore. I recommend it. And then I don't know if this will be just a duology or if there'll be more, because I think the author self-published the second one, which I love that she did that, because when you read a book and like if a publisher decides not to continue or just whatever reason there may be, it's so awesome if an author does that, because the people that are waiting, that are wanting more, or if it was supposed to be more and there's answers we still need, that's just so awesome. But the first one is The Lost Children. It's by Carolyn Cohagen. And then Ida and the Unfinished City. And this is the same world, but we follow a different character, so more like a companion, but it is the sequel, but it's just a different character. It's a side character from in here, from the first one. But they're both so great. They get better. Each one was better. I love them. I can't even pick which one I love the most because they were so great. I'm still crying from that other book. Hold on. But these are so dark, so original, so imaginative, and the characters are phenomenal. And then so creepy too. Just the idea of this story and everything about it. And it's so fast-paced. Keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's dark. I just love these. I hope there will be more. I don't know if there will be, but I just love these so much. So good. Very dark. Such an imaginative idea. And these kids and what they accomplish and how everything's connected and the twist at the end. I just adored these. And The Boy, the Wolf, and the Stars by Siobhan Plaza. This was so beautiful. Such a beautiful story. Magical. Dark. Sensing a theme here. And the wolves, it's just also beautiful. And the stars and everything, the journey, the mission that this boy is on and everything they go through. I just love this, and it was such a fantastic read. And the evil that's trying to stop him, and the two wolves. It's just I just love this. I just remember it leaving a high impact on me, and I was just blown away. And the friends he has along the way with him, it's just so magical, so dark, so phenomenal. Unless I get off on a tangent, I'm trying to go quick through it too. Cinders and Sparrows by Stefan Bachman. Stefan or Stephen? Stefan. This is such a witchy, dark, fantastic story full of the best characters. And Zeta is so spicy, spunky, brave. Her dialogue is so phenomenal in this book. I love her so much. the friends she makes in here, the backstory of where she goes and the people there, her backstory, all so creative and vivid and imaginative, very witchy, and I just love how everything came together. I just love this story so much. And the bird. So, love this. And sequel, Aggie Morton, Mystery Queen, and it's The Dead Man in the Garden by Martha Jocelyn. I love this series. This one in the Myrtle Hardcastle, but I didn't read Myrtle Hardcastle in 2021 because I just finished the third one in this month in January. So, but that one and this one are like the historical fiction, mystery, detective, middle grade. These two series, they're where it's at. The dialogue that I love, the banter, just the historical vibes that I love that goes so well with the detective parts of mystery middle grade. It's just so phenomenal. And this being like a young Agatha Christie, and then Hector, her little sidekick in here. They're at a different location this time. Obviously can't say much, but I was so hooked. It's just so great. And Granny Jane, who's like a little detective herself. I just love her. And that scene with the billiard ball, I still laugh about that. So I just love this series so much. And these, it's been a while. I think I read these in January 2020, but they get better. Each one was better, but they're just both, I don't even know which one I would like more because they were both so great. The first one is The Charmed Children of Rookskill Castle by Janet Fox. And then the sequel or companion, you follow a different character, a new character that we meet, but it's the same location and other characters from the first book, just like that other duology I mentioned. And this one is The Artifact Hunters. I will read the synopsis for the first one since it's been so long. Catherine Bateson lives in a logical explanation for everything, but even she can't make sense of the strange going-ons at Rookskill Castle, the drafty old Scottish castle turned school where she and her siblings have been sent to escape the London Blitz. What's making those mechanical shrieks at night? Why do the castle's walls seem to have a mind of their own? And who are the silent children who seem to haunt Rookskill's grounds? Kat believes Lady Eleanor, who rules the castle, is harboring a Nazi spy, but when her classmates begin to vanish one by one, Kat must face the truth about what the castle actually harbors and what Eleanor is before it's too late. The Lady Eleanor has a chatelaine. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's like this little thing right here. And each item means something, and our main character has one too. And what those mean and how it connects, and both books are during wartime, and the whole setting of this castle, very dark, middle grade, and what we learn and what's happening to the children and the whole backstory of this castle and Eleanor and everything about that, plus our main character, what she can do and who gave her own chatelaine. I'm not saying that right. It's just also fascinating. I just love this. And then the Artifact Hunters, what they end up doing, all these kids, and what happens and what they call themselves and what they're able to do, brilliant. And I was hoping there would be more because of what they end up doing, and there's so many ways you could make this into a series just from this book alone and what they end up doing and the adventures they could have. But I haven't heard anything else about it, so I don't know if there will be. It ended brilliantly and perfectly, but I could just see so many ways it can continue because of what they end up doing and discovering, and I just loved it. The Dragon Warrior series by Katie Zhao. I hope I'm saying that right. The author did say there will be a third book, but she wasn't sure when. She does have another middle grade coming out that's not related, so I don't know if she's even worked on the third one yet, but she did say there would be another one. And the first one is just The Dragon Warrior. Fallen Hero. Both of them equally just amazing. And this just taught me so much I didn't know about Chinese mythology, but there's also a glossary in the back, demons and deities through the dynasties. So it lists the deities and then the demons and other creatures. And then family terms and honorifics, and then other terms. And I just love that. But the dragons and then the Heaven Breaker, this legendary spear, and then these demons, and then what she has to do with these allies that go on this quest with her through all these Chinatowns. and the deities and the mythical creatures they encounter, and everything that happens, and then the sibling relationship that she has with her brother, who's like the smart one, and he's kind of jealous that the Heavenbreaker chose her because he wants to be just as tough and heroic as her, and he feels like nobody thinks of him that way, even though he has so much to offer with his smarts and he is brave. But so what happens there, and such a realistic depiction of sibling relationship, fascinating. And then the second book, so they're so good, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the third book and how it comes together. So love these, so fascinating, so gripping, so much action and adventure. Just loved them. And then Girl Giant and the Monkey King by Van Hong. Still, I have the sequel up to read soon, and I cannot wait because this was amazing. And there's illustrations sprinkled throughout. And I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion or not, but I love the Monkey King. He's just so, especially the way this author writes him, her take on him. He's a trickster god, yes, and I can see how he's like a selfish trickster god out for himself, but I see more to him than that. Like, I see good in him. Yes, all the things are true that are the negative, but I just love him, and he's just funny, and everything he does. And then our main character, our Tom, she's such a great kid, and the way she's bullied and some of the things these kids say to her, it makes you want to go attack their parents. Like, you don't talk to someone like, it's just so wrong. And the way they talk to her mom at one part, I remember, it just breaks my heart, because even though this is a book, this happens in real life, and it's just so heartbreaking. Just because someone doesn't look like you, or if someone's different than the way everybody else is, like dressing different, likes different things, like you could say he's weird, it's not weird to them, and they might think your normal things are weird. I think weird is the best. I like weird. I've been called that, and I'm okay with it. So I just wish kids could be, when I was growing up, kids were awful. I can't imagine being a kid. Facebook started happening when I was graduating. The first school shooting was the year I graduated. So I am so thankful that was all just, Columbine happened the year I was the year before I graduated. So year I graduated was, you go before the year you end up graduating. So 99, 2000. So because I graduated in 2000. So my last year was 99, 2000. And Columbine was in 99. And that's when cell phones were getting big, and MySpace and all of that. So I am so happy that I was before all of that, because if you think about it, bullying doesn't stop for these kids. Before it's like, okay, we were out of school, it stops. We don't have to deal with it until we have to go back. It doesn't stop for them. It continues on social media nonstop, and pictures that people will post, or just post about somebody. It's just horrific to think about. But anyway, so real life issues that so many kids will be able to see themselves that they have to deal with. Bullying in general, but the specific type of bullying that she has to deal with. And she doesn't want to wear what her mom wants her to wear that's with their culture. It embarrasses her because of the bullying. She just wants to be like everybody else. And that's so sad. It breaks my heart for her and any kid that feels that way. And they'll also see themselves with their culture, because it didn't always used to be where kids could look in a book and read about stories they've heard growing up from their culture, or mythology from their culture, and a hero like that looks like them. So I just love that. The writing is incredible. So much adventure. Such a great plot. Love this. Cannot wait to read the sequel soon. And then Hide and Seeker by Daka Herman. This book. I remember asking the author on my Instagram if there would be more. She has another book coming. I can't remember if she said it was a sequel or not. I think she did, but I don't want to say for sure. But I know there's another book coming from her. And man, this book scared me. This book was scary. I don't ever want to play hide and seek again. I don't see myself playing it anyway, but I don't even want anyone to play it around me. I don't want to hear that song that they're saying in this book. It is terrifying, but I loved every minute. I flew through this. It just is such an immersive story, so gripping. And the friendships in here and what they do for each other and what they're willing to do for Z, their friend that went missing and came back so broken and haunted and different. It's just, I loved it. Like so many, just, and facing your fears, and because these kids literally have to face their fears in here where they go, and just everything about that, and then touching each other and what happens. It's just so creative. Such an imaginative story. Creepy imaginative, but imaginative nonetheless. Very, so good. I love this book, and I cannot wait for her next book. And then C.C. Rios and the Desert of Souls by Kayla Rivera. That's how you say her first name. This book, I'm so happy there will be a sequel. I'm so happy that it came out that there will be more, because I need more. I don't know if before this I'd ever read anything from Mexican mythology culture, but I want more now. Like, this was so good. And the Culturas and everything that happens there, and each one of them, and then Devil's Alley and the Brujas and everything that it means, and Cece's family's backstory, and Coyote, because not all Culturas, like, they're not bad, but what they do to them, and they fight them, and just all of that, it's just also intriguing. And what she has to do to get her sister back who's taken, and she becomes a firehouse of power to reckon with. Like, she's getting her sister back, and Coyote, who helps her, and she's not willing to do what other Brujas have done. Like, like, Coyote's her friend, but he offers him, like, oh, it's just so good. And then the other Culturas that join her, she does not want to control them, though. So she's different than others, and they see that, and it's just such a beautiful story, such a heartwarming friendship story. Her dad, I do not like her dad. Her dad but which is sad. But Coyote, I love him with my whole heart. He's such an amazing character. All these characters are so amazingly written. Even the Culturas, even the bad Culturas, and like the ones that took her sister. All of it's so fascinating, and I just love this, and I can't wait for the next one. Then The Girl Who Could Fly by Victoria Forrester. I'm only including the first book. It is a trilogy. The second book was just as good, I thought. Well, almost just as good. The way she talks in the first one, and the dialect and the banter, like, that was part of its charm. And in the second book, it's like she just all of a sudden doesn't talk like that. And so it lost a little bit of its charm for me in that. But in the third book, it was just as good, but there was some things I didn't like about it as much. So I think I gave that one a 4-star because I didn't enjoy it the whole time. Like, some stuff frustrated me, like the way some characters were treating one main character, and the way some things happened I didn't like. And then the ending, there was no closure with some things, and that frustrated me. But the first book is phenomenal. I do love the series as a whole because, like, for the most part, except for those things, it's so well written and such a great, fast-paced, immersive story. But this first book, the way she talks, like I said, is so, I just loved it. She's just, it's so atmospheric too. And then where she goes, and the abilities she has, the abilities the other kids have, what they learn, where they go to this place. It's so dark, and I just love the friends she makes. And she finally got to hang out with people because she wasn't allowed to before, once her parents saw what she could do because of how their town is and how judgy it is. And as soon as she gets out there, she goes and plays ball with some kids, and then they see her ability, and then that's how this place finds out about her. But it's just such a great story, and I absolutely love this first book with my whole heart. And then a duology. It's Heartseeker by Melinda Beatty. Riverbound. These are so phenomenal. being able to see a lie is just such an interesting idea, and it wouldn't always be welcome because there's some things you don't need to know. But it's just so intriguing. And then this kingdom and this whole backstory, this family's backstory, and then seeing the lies like through color, like a kaleidoscope. It's just so fascinating, so original. And then the people, I think, in the castle where the king lives, and everybody who's there, not knowing who to trust, and everybody that she follow meets. It's so fascinating. It's just so good. So dark and imaginative. I just am in love with this. And then the second book is even better. I just love these so much, and I can't wait for more from this author. And then the Unicorn Quest trilogy by Camilla Benko. Secrets in the Stone. And Fire in the Star. Man, were these good. I know they're supposed to be like a spin-off series within the same world, but with different characters. But I haven't, she has that on her website, but I haven't heard any more about it. I think she did have a baby, and so maybe it's going to be a little bit longer from the time that I read this and saw that, because I haven't seen anything yet, but hopefully that'll be coming soon. And it's like Narnia in a way, like they climb up a fireplace, and it's a sister relationship, and there's unicorns, and there's this other world that is so intriguing. Like the whole backstory, it's just a dangerous world and a mystery, and this place Arden, and the unicorns and their backstory, and the backstory of, I don't know if it was a queen or just everything that happened, and her brother and what happened, and how the sisters are connected, and yeah, another member of their family is connected. So good. And the ending of the third one was bittersweet, how it happens, but there's a sister in here that has an illness, so that's something like that a kid could be seen with if they have a sibling that has an illness that keeps coming back. When I say it's bittersweet, it's nothing like that. Something else. But these were just so good. I just flew through these. The writing was so impressive, and I was just hooked. I flew through these, and I cannot wait for the next book. I will buy it right up. And 13 Witches, book 1, The Memory Thief by Jodi Lynn Anderson. And the next book comes out in April, I believe. And this was amazing. When I saw, 13 witches, I was like, okay, so this girl's gonna be a witch. No. There are 13 witches who are unseen except by certain people, just like ghosts. And they each have power. Her mom, I think, was the last witch hunter, but now she is, and they didn't know about her, the witches. But the witches are all in hiding. But there's this book her mom left, and the memory thief, the night that her mom had her, her mom hid her, but the memory thief witch took her mom's memory. So her mom is there and functioning, but she doesn't remember anything. She doesn't know who she is, so there's no love. It's like she's the mom. So she's had this childhood that wasn't really a childhood, but her mom had the book and some other clues and stuff. She doesn't know who her father is, but she finds the book. She's led to the book. She can see ghosts now, and her friend helps her, and she writes stories. And she had stopped writing because her friend said they're getting to that point where they're changing. Her friend doesn't want to do the kid stuff anymore. Maybe she should start writing those happily ever after stories. So she throws away all her stories, and it's just sad. It's just that time of change. But it's just such a gripping story, so unique. And when she goes to find the witch, and she has to get rid of the rest of the witches that are still out there so they can finally be safe. She's fighting to find this witch. She wants to get her mom's memories back. She wants her mom back. And then their house, everything that happened, it's just so good. And the ghost, one little boy in here, this little ghost in here, he has my heart. He's so amazing. And his little I think it was a spider friend. Oh, so good. I just cannot wait for the next book. I don't know how many there are going to be since there are so many witches left, so I hope it's long, just like as many of the witches there are. So very excited. Of The Dollhouse, a ghost story by Cheris Cotter. This was so good. It was creepy. You didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if there were ghosts, if she was crazy, it was this creepy dollhouse. I always wanted a dollhouse. I don't now. Fascinating idea for a story. And the train, and how it all came together, and what is revealed, and what we find out, and the ending was so epic. Amazing characters. And then Lily and her ending each sentence with "I think so" has my heart. I love that character. And it's so good. So gripping. Mysterious, creepy, atmospheric, very atmospheric, and I loved it. I catch myself talking too long about others, and so then I try to be quicker on others, so then it's not balancing out, so I'm sorry. I have The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim. And the second book will be coming out in a few months, I believe. So I am very excited for that. This is a Rick Riordan Presents, and I'm loving every book I've read under that franchise, so I'm very happy and learning all these different mythologies. I think this was Korean mythology in this one, and I just absolutely loved it. It was so good. The healing witches, the Korean healing witches, and then Riley doesn't think she gets to be a part of it because she was adopted, and how that makes her feel, and what her sister's willing to do to make her become a healing witch like the rest of her family, and then what happens to her sister, and then the journey her and her friend have to go on to help save her sister, and then the one behind making her go on that journey, and then the whole quest to do what they have to do to help her, and everything that comes out and everything they learn, and her backstory, what she learns about herself and her family, and all the people at home in the Gom clan, and everything that happened and the backstory of that. Fascinating. Just such a great story. Dark. It's just I was so impressed by this. Can't wait for the next book. And I read this recently, so I'm not going to go too long about it, but Long Lost by Jacqueline West. This is just such a phenomenal book within a book story. Like, you read the book she's reading with her in the story, and this town is atmospheric, the woods, the house she moves into, this library that used to be someone's home 100 years ago, the book itself, everything we learn. So it's just such a phenomenal story, and I absolutely loved it. And this author, everything I've read about her, I have loved, and I can't wait to read the other books I have about her. Ghost Girl by Ali Malenko. Phenomenal story, great ghost story, great friendships, so many great messages in here and themes. So creepy, very atmospheric. Every detail of it, from the everything, just so good. It's just so good. I love this story. I cannot wait for her next book that's coming out this year, because I was so impressed by this. Just such a great story. I read recently was Escape to Witch City by E. Latimer. Another one, fascinating idea for a story, witchy story, and the details of this witch and this magic system and the queen and the kids, like the backstory and the percentage of magic and the age of 13, and then what these kids do and go on, and each ability that they get with their magic is different, and what they learn about the queen, the main character's backstory, the family's backstory, what we learn, the twist. It's so good. I did think we spent a little too much time in one part of where they go, and I was ready to get out of there and move on because it was also fascinating. But other than that, so great. And I hope there's more, because I would love to know more about this magic system and these witches and everything. Just, love it. And then Spell Sweeper by Lee Edward Fody. This was so good. I love them. This is for any kid who ever thought they couldn't get into wizarding school, like the outcast. Any reason, this is for you. And then when you get there and you're not the chosen one, this is just perfect. So many great messages. Action, adventure, it gets a little dark. Sibling relationships, jealousy. There's so much in here. I absolutely love this, and I cannot wait to read more from this author. I have more of his books, and I have them in my room now because I want to read them. And then City of the Plague God by Sarwat Chadha, another Rick Riordan. And he did come out and say there would be another one, which I'm so happy about. This is Mesopotamian mythology, which I had never even heard of. So I love that. And it's been a while since I've read this one, but I remember these kids and what they go through. And then they live in New York, and so that's even more bullying and racism because they're from Iraq, and so they just deal with a lot of that kind of hatred, and it's just so sad. Editing bell. I wanted to clarify why I said the bullying and racism was worse because they were in New York. He even talks about it in the book, because they're in New York and because of like 9/11 and stuff in New York. Like, it got a lot worse after 9/11 for people, especially living there, who are from Iraq or whatever, and just a bunch of hatred towards that whole culture and people. So that's why I said that. And he talks about it in the book, and it's just horrible. And I mean, this kid had nothing to do with 9/11, and it's just sad. So I wanted to clarify that. But everything we find out about this plant that his brother had, and then the goddess we meet, and then the plague god and everything, it's just so fascinating. I need more. I can't wait to learn more about this mythology, and just this scene says it all. It's just so great, so fascinating, so detailed, so vivid. I just love this. The Stone Girl Story by Sarah Beth Durst. And I have loved everything I've read by her since The Girl Who Could Not Dream I fell in love with, and I bought all her books since then. And talk about a unique story made out of stone. This girl and all the creatures where she lives. I think she's the only girl, or the only human that was made. Yeah. Micah and her stone family were brought to life by the stories etched into their bodies. Now time is eroding these vital marks, and Micah must find a stonesman to repair them. But the search is more complex than she had imagined, and Micah uncovers a scheme endangering all stone creatures. Only someone who casts stories into stone can help. But whom can Micah trust? Where is the stonesman who will rescue them? Yeah, so the stonesman, he's died now. She called him, I think, Dad. It's been a while since I read this one. But so when they start to fade, they need to be put in on their stone, or they will start to fade, and they're starting to stop moving because of that. So she has to go all the way down into where people are to find a stonesman to come back and recarve their, But it's way more dangerous and complex than she thought, and everything she finds in this town, and all the danger, the friendship she makes, everything she has to do, it's so good. Like, I was blown away by this, even the concept of this story, and I just loved it, and I'm so excited to keep reading more from this author. And then Delphine and the Silver Needle by Alyssa Moon. And the sequel comes out in a couple months, and I'm so excited. I have a couple mice stories, I think. I didn't know how I'd feel about them, but now I want all of them because this was incredible. And this is like a Cinderella retelling, like it's in the world of Cinderella, but not Cinderella. And the chapter headings are beautiful. There's so much mystery, it's so magical. And Delphine and Cinderella's chateau is where it's at. And the way they sew, and she's orphaned mouse, and she only arrived swaddled in the cloth she had, and then a human sewing needle. And so she thinks dressmaking is her destiny. But then she has to go to the castle to make a dress for the mouse princess. But the castle, she uncovers all this stuff, and then Alexander, who gets on her nerves, he's a noble mouse in the royal court. But they stumble upon a secret, and it links her needle to the legendary threaded, these mouse from the past. And this quest they go on, the Rat King, I think it is, that's after her, and that needle, and everything that they uncover, and everything she learns about her own backstory, and the needle, and the threaded. So, it's just so good. It's very atmospheric. I love these little mice. It's like a fairy tale. It is a fairy tale, and it's just I'm so happy I read this book. Like, you fall in love with these two. They're just the best team, and I cannot wait for the next book to see what happens. The School Between Winter and Fairyland by Heather Fawcett. I was so impressed by this. I have The Language of Ghosts and Ember of Ice Dragons. I've had them for a while, but after reading this, I want to read them very soon, because her writing I fell in love with it from this book. It's just such a different idea on the Chosen One story as far as what happens in here. And then we have the school where the magicians study and become monster hunters. But her brothers and her gran are beastkeeper, and because they can talk to the monsters, which I think is pretty cool. And then she has this Bogart, and he's just the best. And the humor in here, like some of the monsters, like they dress up on top of each other with a trench coat and a hat. It's just hilarious. But then her brother's missing, and she thinks he's trapped in the mirrors. And then Kai Morgan, the Chosen One, he wants her help, and so for something, and so she agrees to help if he'll help her go through the castle trying to find her brother, because she thought she saw him in a mirror. And so they go on this quest together, and everything that comes out about like even her own family and Kai and this school and what's been happening, and then the mirrors. I just love this. Dark, magical, chosen one, school with wizards or magicians, and then the evil lurking in the woods, and the dog and the cat, especially the dog. I just love this. And then Firebird Song by Arne Flores. This whole kingdom of Lyrica and the backstory of it, and then the Phoenix, and then young Pruitt, and then Calliope, and their journey, what they go on. It is so intriguing. I was so impressed by this. I cannot wait for more from this author. It's just such a great dark adventure, and the queen and the girl's backstory, and I can't say much more, but and what the Phoenix does, and how you just every detail in here, it's just so on point, and so how everything comes together, and the ending was so epic, and I love they make such a great team, and the friendship they form, and everything we learn, and then the bookkeeper, all of it, and then this land they have to go to, and those people that help them, and the missing girls, where the girls get taken, all of it. I just love this. I cannot wait for her next book. And then I think lastly for this video, because I think I've decided something I'm going to do, which I'll talk about in a second. Antigua de Fortune and the High Seas. I love ocean books. Pirates apparently too, I've noticed. Magic. And this was such a unique take on all of that, like the magic and pirates and this pirate king in here, and then the boys get taken, and she goes, and her brother's one of them, and she goes to get them back, and everything she learns about herself and her past that she didn't know, and her family, and the pirate king guy, and it's so atmospheric too on these boats in the ocean, and everything we see. The writing was phenomenal. I want more. I wish this was our series, but either way, I want more from these authors. I was just so impressed by this. I flew through this, and I loved it. Okay, what I've decided to do, I'm gonna make this 34 of my favorite middle grades of 2021, and then I'm gonna do another video with my top 14. I can put them in that top space because I can say they were my very top. There was a couple, it was 4 that I had already talked about in this video, so I might take those clips and put them in that instead of filming them all over. So if you see me wearing this when I talk about those, just know that those were in this video, so I moved them to that one. So that, I think it'll be 14 in that one. That'll be my very top, and then these are 34 of my favorite from 2021. I think that's how I'll do it. So. And then I'll break it up some, and that'll show the very favorite, I think. There's still some I want to put into the, but I can't, I'm gonna stop. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Have you read any of these? Do you want to read them? If you did you like them? Are they favorites of yours too, or did you just agree with me? Let me know in the comments. And if you would like to subscribe, I would love that if you want to. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.